So this here is the cheese well, and although more coins now are donated rather than lumps of cheese, and you can see my dog Digus as just help himself to some of that. Where this originates from is the cheese well. These were offerings that were made to the fairies, because this is part of the mythical lands of the fairies, and people have been doing this for centuries. And I'm about to tell you about the Minch Moor road, the ancient road, the medieval road, but a road that also stretches back 800 years or more. But let's just take a look at some of this. The big yellow force. All these offerings here on these stones with coins. These coins are well worn by the weather. But this is the cheese well. This is the cheese well, and you'll find in the Scottish borders many places that are associated with the fairies. One famous story is below the Eildon Hills, where Thomas the Rhymer, True Thomas as he was called, was captured by the fairies and taken away, and for what for him felt like one night happened to be a period of about 3 years. But this is the cheese well right in here, and this is on what we call Minch Moor, which is now part of the Southern Upland Way. So this beautiful land here was one of the roads south going into England, coming to Scotland, and Edward I in the year 1296 brought his army along this road. You can still see many of the cobbles protruding from this road. Now this road was used by armies, monks, pilgrims. It eventually became an old drover's road, but it was a main area of travel, and you're really up high here. The views are absolutely spectacular, and we're not nearly at the height yet. I'm going to go to the summit of Minch Moor. It's been about a year, maybe more, since I was here. I sometimes ask myself why it's taken so long when I come back to such a beautiful place, but in Scotland, with the right to roam, we have so many choices. We're spoilt for choice, and if my movements were restricted, and may the right to roam never ever change, because it's a great thing. It gives us so many opportunities to explore our beautiful landscape. But walking in this place here, you're truly walking an ancient road. And when I think of the armies that have come north here, when I think of wayfarers passing each other, passing news, going to and fro each other, you really are walking in ancient footsteps, and it's such a pleasure even to remind yourself of doing that, of stretching your imagination, going back to the past. As I say, 800 years or more, walking this ancient road. Even although it's an ancient road, I do ask myself, because the road is really narrow. Digus, come. And unless it widened out back then, it's definitely a very old road, you know, the old stone stones are there that made the roadway, but it must have been a tedious affair for any large force that was coming this way. Apparently after the Battle of Philiphaugh in 1645, General Montrose also came this way with his men. And that's the road back down there. What a beautiful view this is. It's well recommended. I actually missed the place. It's probably been over a year since I was here, but we're going to make our way up to the trigger point now, the viewpoint. And the views from there really are worth the effort. Go on then. He is having the time of his life here. He was hot in the trail of a fox earlier on, and since that little engagement he's been completely absorbed, using his nose, using his senses for all he's worth. And that's what I love about having a dog and watching a dog. They're a great partner in crime to be on these trips. There's the trigger point ahead. You know, the antiquity of this track is plain to see. And when I think that Robert the Bruce used this, William Wallace, King Edward, all the people of note during that day, during those times, it's a great place to come. What you'll see way over there are the Innerleithen Hills. Again, steeped in mythical legend of fairyland. It's almost been about over a year since I walked the Innerleithen Hills, and the old Roman hill fort and the native tribes before the Romans. One area that I've been doing quite a bit of research on recently, and I find it very intriguing. I always go back to it, but pre-Roman, when we look at the ancient tribal warlords that inhabited these lands, all of the lands, you know, the Votadini tribe, the Selgove, the Damnoni, all of that. It's a fascinating thing, and I think when you come up here and you cast your eyes over the land, you get some sense of what the wild borderlands were really like. The Scottish borderlands today, once you're down and amongst them, whether you're driving or walking, you'll see a lot of, or you'll experience a lot of arable land. But when you come up to these summits and you just gaze over the landscape there, to all of the hills, the valleys, the rivers, it does give you a sense of the ancient border country. What better way to spend a Sunday afternoon? Digus, come! Attaboy! Attaboy! As you'll see through many of the films on my channel, yes, I love to explore castles, battlefields, tangible places you can really associate with history. But I love to walk the land. When I'm not doing that, I am walking the riverbanks, the hills, the valleys, the forests, because I love it. It runs through my blood. When I turned 54, that's 6 years ago, I swore I was going to walk my country in earnest. Now, I've always walked, but just getting to that age, I decided to intensify it, and because it has a lot of meaning for my life, and I'll continue to do it as long as I'm fit, as long as I'm healthy, and as long as the passion runs high, and there's no chance of that subsiding in any way. I will walk the land. But can you blame me? If you never visited Scotland, it will provide everything you're looking for. It'd just be great if it wasn't so wet and cold. But for what it lacks in weather, it makes up for everywhere else. Thanks for walking in the footsteps with me, folks. You know, when I walk these old roads, these old routes where my main interest is medieval history, but I have a deep interest in most history. But when I think of the times of King Edward I and II, Robert the Bruce, James Douglas, Thomas Randolph, William Wallace, all of those people, even if you come forward in history and you talk about people like Montrose, what defines a person? Yes, their physicality can have a lot to do with it, but it's the mind. It's how they use their mind, how they think, their actions, how solution-minded they are, their ambition, determination, because they're flesh and blood, and it's qualities of character, whether those qualities are questionable or not, that change history. And when we walk in these footsteps here, you're walking through history that has been changed by people's ambition. Some of it ruthless determination to when you look at Edward I, an aggressive expansionist who would halt at nothing to achieve his objective. And he believed in himself as a king, as did Robert Bruce. The trials that Bruce went through and came through and came fighting back again to secure this country that he felt he had a right to rule in. His mind, his genius is absolutely remarkable. I mean, you get two great minds with opposite objectives, like Bruce, like Edward Plantagenet. That's what shapes the turbulent history that we have. And now, in this modern day, it is history. It's back in time. We are free to walk, roam, experience and feel a peaceful land. Now, in comparison to back then, where it was a land at war. But I feel so privileged, and that's where my thoughts go when I'm out walking. I also love nature. I'm a lover of wildlife. I love the landscape and everything about it, and the history that adds to it just stokes that passion. It stokes that fire, and we all walk out there for our own reasons, but that's the reason I do what I do. And it's why I have a spring in myself when I get out to bed each day, each week, always thinking where I'm going to go next, what I'm going to experience, what I'm going to feel, and to make life worth living with every single step.